A candlelit dinner, champagne sparkling, laughter filling the room. I'm standing at the head of the table, smiling, raising a toast to my husband. Our closest friends are watching, glasses in hand. But instead of sweet words, I pull out my phone and start reading his affair texts aloud. The room goes silent. His face turns to stone. And I walk out like a queen. Want to know how I plan the ultimate revenge? Stick around. This story will leave you speechless. Hello. I'm standing at the head of the table, smiling, raising a toast to my husband. Our closest friends are watching, glasses in hand. But instead of sweet words, I pull out my phone and start reading his affair texts aloud. The room goes silent. His face turns to stone. And I walk out like a queen. Want to know how I plan the ultimate revenge? Stick around. This story will leave you speechless. Everyone, my name is Sophie, and I'm 29 years old, living in Seattle. By day, I'm a graphic designer, pouring my heart into creating beautiful things. But today, I want to share a very personal story. A moment in my life that broke me, rebuilt me, and taught me the power of taking back control. This is my real life story. And if you've ever felt betrayed, disrespected, or underestimated, I think it might touch your heart too. So grab a coffee, get cozy, and let's dive in. Oh, and if you've ever dreamed of serving justice to someone who wronged you, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll hear today. Let's begin. 2 years ago, I thought I had it all. A loving husband, Mark, a cozy apartment, and dreams of starting a family. We'd been married for 3 years, and I was head over heels for him. Mark was charming, the kind of guy who could light up a room with his smile. He worked as a sales manager, always on his phone, always busy. I trusted him completely. But you know that gut feeling when something's just off? That's where this story starts. I started noticing things, little things. Mark would step out to take calls at odd hours. He'd get jumpy when I picked up his phone to check the time. Once, I caught him smiling at a text, and when I asked who it was, he said, "Just a client." His voice was too quick, too sharp. My stomach twisted, but I brushed it off. I mean, who wants to believe the person they love is hiding something? But those little moments, it piled up like stones in my chest. I started doubting myself. Was I being paranoid? Was I not enough? I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing, wondering if I was losing him. I'd spent years building a life with Mark, planning our future, supporting his career, even skipping my own dreams to keep us steady. And now, I felt like I was fading in my own marriage, powerless, disrespected, betrayed. If you've ever felt that sting of someone you love pulling away, you know how it eats at you. But I wasn't going to stay powerless. I decided to find out the truth. And when I did, I didn't just want to confront Mark. I wanted him to feel the weight of what he'd done. So I planned our anniversary dinner. Not to celebrate, but to expose him. Here's how it went down. Mark and I met in college. I was 21, studying art, and he was this confident business major who could talk his way into anything. He had this laugh, loud, infectious, like he owned the room. We got married at 26, and I thought we were building something unbreakable. Our apartment was small but ours, filled with my sketches on the walls and his collection of vintage whiskey bottles. We'd host game nights with friends, cook together, dream about the future. I'd always been the planner, the one who made things special. Anniversaries, birthdays, I'd go all out. Mark loved it, or so I thought. But by our 3rd year, things changed. He'd come home late, smelling faintly of perfume, not mine. He'd lock his phone, something he never used to do. I'd catch him staring at me sometimes, not with love, but with guilt? Annoyance? I couldn't tell. It was like I was living with a stranger wearing my husband's face. I remember one night, sitting on our couch, the TV flickering in the dark. Mark was working late again. My hands were shaking as I held his iPad, left unlocked on the counter. I didn't want to snoop, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. My heart pounded in my ears, like a drum I couldn't stop. I opened his messages, and there it was. Text to someone named Leela. Not a client, not a friend. Words like, babe, last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you. My chest felt like it was caving in. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was sit there, frozen, reading every word. Mark was cheating. For months, maybe longer. Vila was a coworker, someone he'd mentioned in passing, always with a casual shrug. Oh, she's just part of the team. But the text told a different story. Dates, hotel rooms, lies about where he was. I felt like such a fool. All those nights I'd waited up for him, cooked his favorite meals, planned our future, and he was building a secret life behind my back. Part conflict escalation. The next few weeks were torture. I didn't confront him, not yet. I needed to know how deep this went. I started paying attention. Mark would leave his phone face down, but I'd catch glimpses of notifications from Leela. He'd laugh it off if I asked, saying I was overthinking things. Gaslighting me. That's what it was. He'd look me in the eyes and lie, his voice smooth as ever. It made my skin crawl. I'd sit at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd shared countless dinners, and feel this rage bubbling inside me. My hands would grip my coffee mug so tight my knuckles turned white. The smell of his cologne, once comforting, now made my stomach churn. I'd hear his keys jingle as he came home late, and my heart would race, not with love, but with fury. How dare he? How dare he betray me, disrespect me, make me feel small in my own life? Mark's behavior got bolder. He'd take calls in the bathroom, the shower running to muffle his voice. He'd forget to tell me about work trips until the last minute. Once, I found a receipt for a dinner for two at a restaurant I'd never been to. When I asked, he smirked and said, "You're being dramatic, Sophie. Dramatic." That word lit a fire in me. I wasn't dramatic. I was awake. I lay awake one night, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above our bed. Mark was snoring beside me, oblivious. I thought, I deserve better than this. I wasn't going to be the wife who cried and begged. I wasn't going to let him walk away unscathed. I wanted him to feel what I felt. Exposed, humiliated, powerless. That's when I decided to plan our anniversary dinner. Not to celebrate our love, but to serve justice. Turning point. It was 3 weeks before our 4th anniversary. I found an email on Mark's laptop. Another thing he'd forgotten to lock. It was from Leela, confirming a weekend getaway they'd planned for the week after our anniversary. That was my breaking point. My hands trembled as I read it, my vision blurring with tears. But they weren't tears of sadness anymore. They were tears of rage, of clarity. I wasn't going to let Mark play me for a fool any longer. I'd invite our closest friends, set the table with candles and flowers, make it look like a celebration. But when the moment came, I'd expose him. I'd let everyone see who he really was. The thought of it made my heart race, not with fear, but with power. For the first time in months, I felt in control. I spent weeks planning. I booked a private room at La Belle Vie, our favorite restaurant. I sent out invites to our friends, 6 couples, people we'd known since college, people who thought Mark was the perfect husband. I ordered a custom menu, picked out champagne, even chose the playlist. Every detail was perfect, just like I'd always done for him. But this time, it wasn't about love It was about truth. The night before the dinner, I sat at my desk, the glow of my laptop screen lighting up my face. I'd saved screenshots of Mark's texts, dozens of them. I printed them out, tucked them into an envelope. My hands shook as I folded the paper, the crinkle of it loud in the quiet apartment. I could hear Mark in the shower, humming like nothing is wrong. I smiled to myself. He had no idea what was coming. The day of the dinner, I was a bundle of nerves and determination. I wore a red dress, bold, confident, the kind of dress that screams, "I'm not invisible." I did my hair, my makeup, every detail perfect. Mark noticed. "You look amazing," he said, kissing my cheek. I forced a smile, my stomach twisting. "Thanks," I said. "Tonight's going to be unforgettable." We arrived at the restaurant at 7 p.m. The private room was stunning. Candles flickering, white tablecloths, the smell of fresh roses in the air. Our friends were already there, laughing, clinking glasses. Mark was in his element, charming everyone, telling stories. I watched him, my heart pounding, but my face calm. I let him have his moment. I wanted him to feel on top of the world before I pulled it out from under him. After dessert, I stood up, glass in hand. The room quieted, all eyes on me. Mark smiled, expecting some sappy toast. I took a deep breath, my heart hammering against my ribs. The candles flickered, casting shadows on the walls. The air smelled of vanilla and wine. I could feel the weight of everyone's attention, like a spotlight I'd chosen for myself. "I want to thank you all for coming," I said, my voice steady. "Tonight is special. 4 years ago, I married the love of my life. I thought we were building something real. But sometimes, the truth has a way of coming out." I pulled out my phone. Mark's smile faltered. I started reading. "Babe, last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again." The room went silent. I kept going, my voice clear, unwavering. "Hotel tonight? Sophie thinks I'm at a conference." Gasps rippled through the table. Our friends' faces froze. Shock, horror, disbelief. Mark's jaw clenched, his eyes wide like a deer caught in headlights. Mark's face turned red, then white. His hands gripped the table, knuckles pale. "Sophie, stop," he hissed, his voice low, desperate. But I didn't. I read another text, then another. The room was so quiet, you could hear the clink of a fork someone dropped. Our friend Sarah covered her mouth. Tom, Mark's best friend, stared at him like he'd never seen him before. The air felt thick, electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. I finished reading, set my phone down, and looked at Mark. He couldn't meet my eyes. I smiled, not a cruel smile, but a calm one. "Happy anniversary, Mark," I said. Then I turned to our friends. "Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your night." I picked up my purse, walked to the door, and left. The sound of my heels clicking on the hardwood floor echoed behind me. As I stepped into the cool night air, I felt free. My chest was light, like I'd been carrying a weight for months, and finally let it go. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just walked to my car, got in, and drove away. I'd taken back my power. Mark could deal with the fallout, his friends' judgment, his shame. I was done. That night changed me. I realized I'd spent so long trying to be the perfect wife. I'd forgotten how strong I could be. Betrayal hurts. It's like a knife in your heart, twisting every time you think about it. But there's power in standing up, in refusing to let someone else define your worth. I moved out the next week, started therapy, and poured myself into my art. I'm not saying it was easy. There were nights I cried, nights I doubted myself. But I also learned that justice isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your voice. Karma has a way of catching up. I heard from friends that Mark lost his job a few months later. Leela wasn't the only one he'd been charming at work. He tried calling me, leaving voicemails about how sorry he was. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I'd already said everything I needed to say that night. If you've ever been betrayed, you know how it feels to want justice. Maybe you've had your own moment of standing up, of taking back what's yours. I'd love to hear about it. What did this story make you feel? Let's talk about it in the comments. P. Is this story gave you chills or made you cheer? Smash that like button and let me know in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Or maybe even pulled off yourself? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story like this. I've got more real-life tales coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.